On the western edge of Houston lies a place precious to many, yet undiscovered by many others. A place where the rhythms of life run a little deeper, the adventures a little more wild, and the vistas as big as Texas herself. A place called the Katy Prairie.
The Katy Prairie is extraordinary in the fact that it offers so many different benefits to different kinds of people. So if you've got a family and you want to go out there and you want to walk a trail or go learn how to fly a kite on our Indian Grass Preserve, we've got something for you. If you are a hunter, we've got an open hunt where you can come out with Texas Parks and Wildlife.
One of the reasons the Katy Prairie is such a great place to explore is its abundance of wildlife.
One of the secrets about the prairie is the real sneaky diversity that's out there. People driving by on the highway want to get through it. They want to get past it. But once you immerse yourself in the prairie, you realize the hundreds and hundreds of species of just birds that exist out here. If someone is interested in butterflies or plants, the diversity here is far, far greater than in the East Texas pine woods, for example. Although we all love to see a tree, the delicate diversity that presents itself on a prairie, such as the Katy Prairie, is something that is an acquired taste. But when you acquire it, you never lose that taste to enjoy the prairie.
I remember the first time that I went out on the prairie with David Lowprice, who was a waterfowl biologist with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. We had Larry Gore and James Prince, who were waterfowl guides out on the prairie, and I remember just being bowled over by the spectacular flocks of waterfowl that came off of Warren Lake and Logan Ball Reservoir. And if that wasn't enough, I remember us driving down a little country road and going around a bend and looking off into a field about 20 yards off the road, and here was this big bald eagle sitting there eating a goose. It was just very, very cool.
The Katy Prairie Conservancy, or KPC, is also committed to keeping the farming and ranching heritage alive on the Katy Prairie.
We have a lot of farms out on the prairie, and those farms provide local foodstuffs to our restaurants, to our stores, our food stores, to people. Whether it's rice or it's cattle or it's soybeans, those are important things.
Perhaps the prairie's most undervalued benefit is its role in reducing localized flooding.
Katy Prairie is the city of Houston's flood detention basin. It always has been. This area was historically tallgrass prairie interspersed with about 40% wetlands.
KPC is working to make its land even more valuable for flood control.
The Katy Prairie Conservancy is protecting nearly 20,000 acres on the Katy Prairie, and some of this ground is still in rice farming, which helps to hold water back. But we're also working to restore tallgrass prairie, which increases infiltration capacity into the soil. And we've done nearly 2,500 acres of wetlands.
If it weren't for the Katy Prairie right now being the way it is, which is it soaks in water, it detains water, it allows that water to move at a slow rate, and eventually it'll dump into Cypress Creek or to one of the tributaries of Buffalo Bayou. But if it wasn't for that, Buffalo Bayou right now behind us, which looks pretty high, would be a whole lot higher.
The prairie is also a place to recharge your spirit and find much-needed peace in a fast-paced world.
Birding prairies has been, in part because I live out on the prairie, an almost spiritual experience, seeing these birds up close and personal from my house every day. It makes me feel that I'm contributing to the health of the ecosystem by the way my wife and I manage our property.
I feel cleansed inside, I feel recharged, I feel like I'm connected to something much bigger than me.
Saving special places like the Katy Prairie is a tough task, a task that takes commitment, tenacity, and visionary leadership. Fortunately, Mary Van Kerrebrook is just such a leader and has championed the protection of the prairie since the late 1980s.
My mother and father were both very, very active in different community endeavors. My father was very involved in his church. My mother was very involved in just a whole variety of civic and social causes. And they raised me with the belief and understanding that we all have the obligation and the opportunity to change our worlds in ways that are big or small.
Under Mary's leadership, KPC has grown from a fledgling group struggling for funding to a conservation leader, which has protected over 20,000 acres.
So while I've been involved with the Conservancy, it's changed so dramatically. It's almost been like being involved with several different organizations. When we started out with just a crazy vision and got our first seed money, it was like dealing with an infant. And then we hired Carter and bought our first piece of land, and then Mary Ann came on board and has transformed the organization and the landscape in so many ways.
One thing that Mary is really good at is asking questions and making you start to think about things and making you realize that her passion might really be your passion.
Well, Mary took a chance on me and gave me a job. Again, I knew nothing about nothing, and here was Mary, this very successful, polished, commercial real estate attorney. She was this fiery redhead lawyer, and as the son of one of those, I knew that she was going to be a force to be reckoned with, and she was just so gracious and so generous with her time. She had a million things going on in her life, but she always found time for the Katy Prairie.
Well, without Mary, there would be no Conservancy, there would be no Katy Prairie Protected. It's not that other people didn't participate, but Mary was the driving force.
Yet, the fight to save the Katy Prairie is far from done.
Well, the work being done on the Katy Prairie is really generational, both in scope and in scale. They are doing things through the Katy Prairie Conservancy in partnership with landowners and communities and business interests that are going to be felt for generations to come.
Get to know it, get to love it. And if you know it and you love it, I think you'll open up your hearts, you'll open up your minds, and you'll open up your pocketbooks, and you'll help us. Because without that, we will never be able to save more acreage.
If I could wave a magic wand and realize all my aspirations for the Katy Prairie and the Katy Prairie Conservancy, I would love to see 50 or 60,000 acres of land protected. I'd love for every school child in Houston to go out there once a year. I'd love for children to see it the way that my son did when he went out and heard all those frogs when he was 5 or 6 years old. There's nothing like the majesty of nature, and increasing evidence shows that we need that connection to nature, that it's part of who we are.